Sounds good. Okay.
If you can hear it. I mean,
Yeah, well,
if someone's gonna do a lot of speaking, and we'll try that. I'll
yeah,
mute this.
whatever works.
Then I go off.
No, all right, whatever, we'll be fine. I'll do the Garrett Morris sign language thing.
Haven't heard that in a while.
All right, so before we start the meeting, once again, thank you all for coming in person. I know we have a lot of starts to move quickly today, and a lot of things coming up during the summer. Fortunately, we're all still here, and once again, the county is still operational. So I hope everybody had a great summer vacation. And with that, once again, we'll commence the September 7th, Nassau County Regional Emergency Services Council meeting to order with a salute to the flag. Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible.
A moment of silence for all of our military personnel at home and abroad, all of our first responders, especially Michael Fisher, who passed away in the line of duty down in Island Park this past month, and for all of our past council members. Thank you. Please. Roll call, we do have a quorum.
Just sign in
In
sheet.
attendance, and we had a couple online. Just to make sure, we had a quorum, in case any business does come up.
$19 unicorn.
We do, okay, so we do have a quorum for the meeting today. Thank you to those members that are on virtual. The executive order still carries through until next week. We'll see what next month brings as far as that. Council communications, do we have any council communications other than?
I forwarded the only suspensions
So
that we
the only
had.
council communications predominantly that we got was from East Norwich as a response to their request to change their dual response, which a letter was sent back requested by the council last meeting, and we're still waiting for any supporting documentation on that. Other communications was for openings, which will come up under the systems committee for some of the constituency seats here on the council, for resignations and for replacements, which has been sent to the membership committee. With that, once again, enforcements for the past 2 months since our last meeting on June 8th. We have Caitlin Egley, number 452-351 for violations of New York Code of Regulations, Part 800.3, both AM, and 800.15A-2. Suspended for 1 year effective 6/14/22. Suspension is stayed pending successful completion, 3 years probation without any further violations, and must submit successful completion of remediation plan as directed by the agency medical director within 180 days. Also signed a civil penalty of $2,000. Peter Sherman, EMT number 335478, for multiple violations of Part 10, New York Code of Regulation, Part 800.3 of AM, as well as AL, and for Part 800.15 A2, surrendered certification effective 7/5/22. Assessed a civil penalty of $500 and it was posted on July 6th, 2022. Christopher Kitchens, EMT number 466-364, for violation of Part 10, New York Code of Rules and Regulations, 15A, and Part 800.16, A1, 2, and 13. Certificate was revoked effective 7/13/22 and posted on the same date. Matthew Miller, EMT number 338-526, violations of Part 10, New York Code of Rules and Regulations, Part 800.16, A, and 10. Surrendered effective 7/28/22. It was posted on 7/29/2022. And last but not least, Joshua Feldman, EMT number 364-791, violations of Part 10, New York Code of Rules and Regulations, Part 800.15A, Part 800.3 AP -1, and 800.16 A2. Suspended for 1 year effective 8/9/22. Suspension is stayed, placed on probation for 3 years effective 8/9/22, and assessed a civil penalty of $500, and that was posted on 8/9/2022. Those are the only enforcements as of today. Regarding, once again, enforcements and actions by New York State Bureau of Emergency Medical Services. Okay. We'll go on to Chairman's report. Once again, I'll try and make it as brief as possible. There's a lot of things going on. We just finished up our second meeting of the executive committee in 2 days regarding the regional program agency, the update. As we said in June, we were waiting on the state to make a determination on how they were going to move forward with the program agencies coming out of COVID. The last one, once again, was extended for 2 years, and they've since extended it for an additional 2 years from July 1st of 22 to June 30th of 2024. That being said, once again, we have been granted the opportunity in consultation with the state to begin to look at options to restructure and to rebuild the program agency. And we had a virtual meeting yesterday for approximately an hour, and another hour today with the executive committee, looking at some of the various options. We were fortunate enough to get John Van Olter and Susie Separate from upstate regions that are currently their program playing their system. They cover multiple counties within their region upstate, and we effective information and stuff from them. They are going to forward us some additional information, and we are going to look at 3 various options. Right now, unless something else comes up or another option appears, we are looking at either creating our own program agency, which I'll show you once again. We have narrowed down the contract document for the program agency from 29 pages down to around 14, something like that. Whatever you have here. This is the condensed version of the deliverables requirements from the contract for the program agency. So the options are, once again, to build our own from within and hire our own people to operate the program agency. to put out RFPs and look for private entities that are willing to take this on and to take the grant money that's been allotted to the council to perform these duties, or to look at possible county options. And we discussed yesterday, looking at the Department of Health and county administration as a possible source, which has been done years in the past before the program agency. I'll be looking for volunteers that are interested in being on the committee, subcommittee, to look at development of a new program agency. It may be time consuming. I'm looking to have probably a meeting before the next REMAC meeting in October. Once we get the information from upstate that had been requested by members of the executive committee, and try and narrow down what our options are in order to build that day-to-day process, which we've lost in the past 2 years. So stay tuned. Like I say, we have the information. If you need it, we can send it out to you. You can look at the contract with that. All right. EMS agency meetings, we've been making the circuit with a few in-person meetings. Dawn and myself have been invited to meet with some of the other EMS agencies to update them on what's going on around the county and to allow them to ask us questions and stuff as far as where we are today regarding that. So it's been a lot of good questions, and hopefully we've answered their questions and had them sign up to be able to assist us. As we said in the past, this is all hands on deck. Every agency, every dynamic, the police department, fire department, volunteer ambulance force, proprietary, hospital-based, everybody needs to be in as we navigate these next few years in order to rebuild and to utilize the resources that we currently have. EMS communications, we had discussed at the recent REMAC meeting, once again, the use of eBridge communications project, which Dr. Kugler, Dr. Joshua Kugler, as well as Dr. David Kugler have been working tirelessly on, as well as some of his REMAC people, to get the policies and procedures up in order to be able to use this. This is not to take away from medical control or to deviate from medical control, but once again, as a safeguard and to be able to get information out, vital information to the various hospitals effectively in real time, to be able to manage the patients that we are sworn to protect. With that also, the diversion and redirection board that's currently up is to be used by all agencies and all providers to determine in real time the availability of various hospitals. As communications coming out of Firecom has been stopped at this time to make sure that we are getting the information out in a relatively expedient time with that. Under the communications and the REMAC, I'm sure Dr. Kugler will expound upon that, the eBridge. Regional credentialing continues. All right, all ALS providers in the region must be credentialed in Nassau County when certifying or recertifying at the AEMT or above level, EMTCC, EMTP. Any questions, please contact the council or the EMS coordinator or your agency medical director to find out when your expiration occurs and when your paperwork needs to be in order to remain credentialed within Nassau County. REMSCO meeting attendance. I appreciate the large attendance and stuff today. We've been somewhat lax in the past due to COVID and because of virtual. There are times where we haven't picked up on, but the most important thing is we have good representation stuff here to be able to conduct the business necessary to be able to continue to move forward. So please make every effort to make the meetings. If not, once again, just send us an email or a text message, once again, for excusal. We understand that, once again, life has many twists and turns, and there are times we're not going to be able to make the meetings. Systems Committee met in August to discuss some applications that came in to change the response matrix. I'll defer to Chairman Diver as far as the changes that will be brought up. Membership, there's been a number of council constituency resignations over the past few months that have come to our attention. A couple of them with the volunteer ambulance corps, as well as with the hospital managers seat, which once again has been vacated. We have gotten in numerous letters of support, as well as CVs from various applicants for these positions, both the volunteer ambulance corps, the Nassau District 12 seat, as well as the hospital manager seat. And it's all been forwarded to the membership committee for evaluation and completeness. The Nassau County EMS subcommittee looking at the things that have been going on and how we can better serve the county and the residents within Nassau County. Is awaiting further information from the county committee. The last meeting scheduled for the end of July was postponed due to some scheduling conflicts. And I assume that sometime in September, the county committee will be meeting to look at and to discuss some of the changes going on through communications, as well as looking at EMS resources and how we can better utilize those resources. So both committees are working in conjunction. The subcommittee involving REMAC and REMSCO, headed by Dr. Newbert, as well as Paul Diver, is just waiting on the next phase. We're looking at documentation and improvements in the documentation of what's going on out there to better bring to light the issues that we need to address on the county level. And the county committee hopefully will be meeting sometime in the next few weeks to evaluate and to put together a report to go to the county executive with that. New York State Bureau of EMS Agency Inspections. Once again, I wanted to send out congratulations to Brian Sherwood on his recent retirement, and give him best wishes for all of his years of service to our county, as well as the agencies with that, and also to welcome Michael Lenahan and Guy Ciprio, who will be taking over the inspections. The Bureau is pretty much back in force. They brought most of their people back. They were staggered around with the COVID out to the Department of Health. But now it seems that random inspections will be coming. There's been information sent out by the EMS coordinator and by the council. It's up on the website if anybody needs to. If you're an agency manager, be aware of the requirements for your agency inspections, as there will be not be much notice when these agency inspections come up. So please, if you have any questions, please contact us. If we can help out, we certainly will be there for you. The Nassau County RSI program, we'll defer to Dr. Newbert if he's on today. Once again, there's been some updates and stuff on that. They've been working on developing the program and the training necessary in order to move forward with that. EMS Coordinator's weekly report is sent out every Friday afternoon. It is on the REMSCO website, under the EMS Coordinators tab. All agency managers should be, once again, evaluating the information coming out on a weekly basis and sending it out to their agency providers for their informational purpose. We said the website and the Facebook page is a wealth of information, both for training as well as for administrative purposes. Feel free to go on there, look at the tabs. All of the prior minutes have been placed on there, as well as any updates and any future events that are currently going on. As I said, with the council tax returns have been turned over to DeVenti and Lee CPAs to be completed for both 20 and 21. They should be completed within a relatively short period of time. And they're also looking at completing and looking at the paperwork necessary for us to move forward with the building of the program agency that's required by New York State, both as far as insurance and as far as financial data that needs to be presented to them. The quarterly data report, we are still once again looking. There was a brief questionnaire that was sent out to make sure that everybody's getting the information that they should have as far as agency providers, and also once again how we can best accommodate those, whether it be the core sponsors through Northwell, VEED, or the Fire Police Academy. So please check that, and once again report that information back to us. It's a simple anonymous questionnaire, and we look to hopefully get a quarterly data report online in order to be able to bring numbers and information back to the county committee as to where we stand as far as our operability with that. The 2022 EMS awards, thank you all once again for all of your help with that. The videos have been completed. They are being pared down for both ceremonies. And once again, we'll be put up on the website as soon as we can do that. And last but not least, as I said at the June meeting, the Costas Lambrou article has been written. I submitted the article to both the National EMS Museum and also to GEMS Magazine, and it was adopted by both. The unfortunate part is, once again, GEMS is holding it because for 12 months I had to sign a disclosure disclosure form that it would not be used for at least 12 months. They are planning on putting it in their Pioneers Journal, which hopefully will come out by the end of this year. It was reviewed and edited, and I had it checked by the family of Dr. Costas Lambrou for authenticity and for accuracy. And so the editor-in-chief got back to me on both and will be forthcoming. It has been accepted. With that, I thank you all for once again everything that you did to assist me with that as well. So with that, and we'll move on to the Vice Chairman's report. Does anybody have any questions for me as far as I said, a lot of things went on during the summer, a lot of things that, on the surface, once again, we were able to manage and get through, especially with the large volume and vacations and everything else. Hope to have more information in November as to where we are as far as operationally involving communications, human resources, and the data that goes along with that, QA, QI, and I thank you for time. So with that, is Ann on?
And it's not.
Not, okay. All right, so, yeah. Yes, I'm sorry. Okay, you're here for,
Yeah, and
Okay.
she's at the ledge. Nothing particular report from her, but she asked to just convey, so everyone has an understanding for the county health department in terms of program agency, just broadly speaking. We've had ongoing issues just in terms of being able to fill positions or hire for any number of nurses. It doesn't look like we're going to be able to fill any of those positions. So just in terms of managing expectation, sharing that.
okay. All right, thank you for that report. Secretary Treasurer report.
Okay, the checks we sent out, we sent a check to Charles Mackey for repayment of the Lambert Day. It was $1,032.45. A check to TFS Leasing for the copier for $421.48. That was a double check because they lost the first check. Jason Santieri for website maintenance for $2,427.67. Lease payment for the copier, $200.70. Sentinel Insurance for the council's insurance, $446. A check to Thomas Mestacoris for $149.90. So they had his credit card on file and they renewed our Zoom account using his credit card. So we needed to pay him back. And lastly, Donald Hudson for reimbursement for REMSCO meetings, $789.22. We had $5,467.35 in disbursements. As of today, we, in the checking account, we have $4,134.73. The savings account has $29,395.60. And the money market account has $67,492.05. So as of today, I have not paid the bill for the copier because I called them to tell them that we want to return it because we really have no need for it. It's a $200 a month expenditure that we're not getting any benefit from. The contract was signed by the old program agency for 5 years. So the contract is not up until April of 2023. I told them that we wanted the copier picked up. They want 9 more payments, which I'm really, we really don't need the copy. And since it was signed for by the other agency, so to speak, I'm waiting for them to call me back. I've been waiting for a week for them to call me back. So more to come on that. Just a motion, new business for the bills.
Okay, so we'll get the motion with that. Also, just one thing, as far as the agency managers, coordinators, if you would please check your rosters and make sure that all of the people that are on there that are currently credentialed are providers with you, and if not, please get that back to us. As you know, we pay for each provider quarterly for use of the website and the credentialing platform. So therefore, once again, anybody that is no longer providing or associated with your agency, please let us know and update. This is the reason why we're looking to get these quarterly reports to be able to identify how many providers we have of various different levels in order to be able to determine how much we're spending on that. We'll move on to the state EMS representative and coordinators report. Donald Hudson.
Good afternoon, everybody. So this month is not only 9/11, too well. The New York State EMS Memorial is also this month. That'll be September 20th in the Empire State Plaza up in Albany, where the state memorial is. There's 10 names being added to that this year, 6 of which are from FDNY. So if you're going to make a trip up there and watch a live stream, those links are on the state website for that remembrance. State council meetings will follow the day after. So traditionally they're Tuesday, Wednesday meetings because the EMS Memorial is September 20th. The state meetings will be September 21st and September 22nd. So those links and the live stream are also posted to the state EMS website. And then as is past practice, my written report will be generated after that and posted to the Nassau EMS website, if that's visible to all. So for the coordinators report, as Chuck said, there was a survey put together by REMSCO leadership and myself, just 5 quick questions, anonymous, put out to the region's providers that we have contact lists, emails from. So those are the providers that are currently credentialed, so 8 EMTs and higher. Just real quickly to give you a glimpse of where that is, it was sent out just yesterday afternoon. We have already 358 responses. So the first question is, I'm getting the EMS coordinators weekly update from my agency's EMS manager. 58.1% of the respondents said no. So we still have some work to do there. We'll be reaching out to the EMS agency coordinators, managers to see what the problem is and why they're not disseminating that information as intended. Second question, I believe response times are important and should be monitored for agency level and regional QA/QI. 73%, 73.5% strongly agree, 20.4% are neutral, and then the remainder of that to 100%, the single digit doesn't show those strongly disagree. We asked an open-ended question for training and education, REMAC, and the like. I would like more training on the following topic. So those answers are, since it's a free type space all over the place, there's 358 of them. But the top 5 right now are more pediatric reviews and knowledge, airway, intubation, RSI, MCI management, and then general protocol questions. Complementary to that, we asked the question, something we've been kicking around for a while, is I'd be interested in a monthly webinar / online meeting where I can ask questions and discuss regional EMS issues. So of the 358 respondents, 80.2% said that was a good idea. Yes, they'd like that. So we'll explore that moving forward. That again complements the REMSCO REMAC meetings, the Fire Commission meetings, which are held every 2 weeks, and the Fire Commission EMS committee, which is held monthly. On top of the state meetings, which the state holds monthly EMS provider statewide calls with questions. So there's a need out there. We'll see what we can do as a region to fill those needs. And then finally, for providers on awareness of where they expire due to the multitude of expirations and timeframes associated with that. With all of the New York State extensions, I know for certain when my new EMS expiration date is, and that's from the Health Commerce System. So 53.4% said yes, that's good. 46.6% said no, so we still have some work to do there, and that'll be tied into reaching out to the EMS managers to see are they on the Health Commerce System? If so, why they haven't filtered that down to the providers as far as when their expiration dates are. And that'll allow me to segue into the next thing, which was in the EMS coordinators brief after collaborating with a number of the different regions around the state about agency EMS inspections or renewals. So due to COVID and the deployment of EMS bureau staff statewide to support vaccination and testing operations, the last 2.5 years, no agency inspections have been done. That includes complimentary spot inspections of ambulances, as we know, when they're out on the road, whether it be at hospitals or the like. So those have kicked off again. The bureau's retooled and reinvigorated to do them. Every agency within our region that is coming up to expire has been contacted to assure that A, they were aware they're going to expire, and B, that they're in the process. So everyone is in the process. We're not going to lose anybody, which is good news. So thank you to those agencies and their managers for keeping up on that. And then there's a cheat sheet that went out, for lack of a better description, about the top things that the inspectors from the state would be asking to see when they come knocking at your agency for the annual or renewal inspection. So those are pre-scheduled. Those aren't pop inspections. They'll call you or schedule with your designated coordinator a few days in advance. Hey, we're in town next Monday. Can we stop by and look at your stuff? They can ask to see all your policies, all your training records, all your personnel records. There's state lists and the cheat sheet, which tells you what should be where and what they can ask for and what it should look like. So if anyone has any questions, please reach out to REMSCO or myself. We'll be happy to help you out. So that's all I got. I'll leave the rest for Dr. Kugler. I know we go back and forth on a lot of crisscross. So happy to help. Any other questions, let me know.
And as he said, this is just ALS providers. We don't know how many BLS providers out there aren't getting this information as well. So, if agencies can get us a listing of their providers and stuff, we'll once again try and get them downloaded somewhere that we can reach out and be able to get them these updates and stuff, as well as the questionnaires in the future. Any questions for the state rep? All right, we'll move on to executive council. Pretty much gave you everything that we went over. We had a very short, being this thing popped up with the program agency and the time that it took yesterday and today to meet with some of the people from upstate. We didn't have a lot more. Most of it was covered under my report. So we'll move on to REMAC, Dr. Cheerson or Dr. Kugler. I'll bring Dr. Kugler.
Thank you. So at our REMAC, I'm just going to touch the highlights. It was discussed, pointed out by one of the REMAC physicians that there is no formal regional MCI plan. And ex-chair Diver from this committee had and that committee volunteered to help draft it with the policy committee using the ongoing MCI protocol and procedure and plan that's already in place. It's going to more formalize it because we don't have one. And that'll be brought back to our committee and their committee for review. There was progress made with eBridge. The policy, which we call the living policy, because it's something that's so new to our region that we were afraid that if we said, oh, this is the policy, never going to change, we would be putting ourselves into a box. And so we called it a living policy, and it was voted on and passed at the REMAC with an enormous amount of discussion, and which is great. So now that's our policy, and under new business, I'll ask that this committee approve that policy for the region. And the second thing is I have a follow-up call with the General Devices eBridge people to get basically the flavor of how the region is moving, how the hospitals are coming along with their compliance and next steps for us. But what do we need to do now is the question and the topic of discussion for that meeting, and it's on Thursday. So if you guys want to, if you're really eager to know, you can ask me next week. Otherwise, I'll present the report at the REMAC meeting. The hospital diversion policy was also modified. We have the regional hospital diversion policy, and it was modified basically to streamline it and say the Google Sheet is the living document that we're using, with the tracking board that we're using to have real-time notifications. That was passed, and that'll bring that up as under new business here, or old business, I guess. I'm not sure how it works, so it comes from another committee for this committee to approve. Let's see. Lastly, there was an enormous flurry of emails and phone calls to me after the New York State Bureau of EMS new inspector came down and started doing inspections. It was an announced inspection of a fire department. It was the Belmore Fire Department. They were found non-compliant with New York State law. Basically, they're an ALS agency that's supposed to have controlled substances that they're capable of administering per protocol. They had no opioids, and the state inspector put them down to AMT level, which is basically BLS in our region. And so then a lot of other emails went back and forth, and I'm just going to read you my response. Forgive me, it's a little long and wordy, but this way, I'm always of the philosophy that, sunshine is the greatest disinfectant, so we keep everything out in the open. And this way make this body aware of the communication. So basically, I said to them, to the director or coordinator of that EMS agency, let's see, the agency, you've been non-compliant for 3 months, at least that's what they said, because they haven't had their controlled substances for over 3 months. And that I spoke to your medical director, and my comment is as follows, and I put in quotes, in 2016, the New York State Public Health Law changed to require the following: Section 800.5, add a requirement that advanced life support agencies providing critical care and/or paramedical level service must be licensed in accordance with Public Health Law Article 30, Title 10, to purchase, possess, deliver, and administer controlled substance medications as per state-approved regional protocols. Agencies that do not seek licensure to purchase, possess, deliver, and administer controlled substances in accordance with public health law would be authorized to apply for and provide care only at the advanced EMT level. Agencies that operate at the advanced EMT level are allowed to perform advanced airway management and some medication for emergency treatment for diabetics and allergies, but does not allow advanced medication therapy. And then I put down beneath that, given a 45-day implementation period from July 20th, there was a grace period until December 31st of that year. The director of the Bureau of EMS and the CMAC left the supervision and implementation of this new law change to the REMACs for local regulation of state certified ALS agencies with close assistance with Bureau of EMS investigators. Around that same time, the Nassau region also implemented the policy that all ALS agencies must have at least one of each class of medicine that is recognized within the protocols, a benzodiazepine and an opioid, for the immediate care of the patient based on the current ALS protocols, which basically is conforming with the law. It's just a different way of saying it. This did not specify which brand, type, storage container, like vial, syringe, ampule, etc., but rather just one of each. By the end of January 2017, all agencies were within compliance either by dropping to the AMT level of care or purchasing the required medications. Since implementation, there have been agencies whose stock of controlled substances has expired or run out due to nationwide shortages, or they were unable to obtain after good faith efforts the required minimal quantities of controlled substances to comply with the law. If an agency fell out of compliance before any discovery by routine inspection by the State Bureau of EMS representatives, the agency would make a good faith notification to the REMAC of their difficulty and present efforts of securing those necessary medications. The regional EMS medical director would make an immediate determination that was then ratified by the REMAC as to what the status of the agency should be. The good faith efforts include proof of attempts of purchasing the controlled substances from multiple vendors, minimum of 2, and a letter from the vendors indicating the same. These efforts were in the form of copies of purchase orders sent to the regional EMS medical director / REMAC chair. Determinations for non-compliance have been immediate downgrade to status to AEMT or designated as provisional ALS with contingencies specified. The removal of the restrictions was always dependent on reinspection by the Bureau of EMS to confirm compliance with New York State law and regional policy. Once notified by the Bureau of EMS, the region would lift the restriction if found compliant. If the region has maintained this policy and procedure since. I was made aware that your agency, this is the Belmore Fire Department, was found to be not compliant with public health law and Nassau regional policy, not by your report, but by a routine inspection that was immediately downgraded to the AEMT level before coming to the REMAC. Your agency, Belmore Fire Department, has the obligation to now demonstrate to the REMAC and to the Bureau a good faith effort of purchasing controlled substances at or before the expiration of your medications. This must be from at least 2 separate vendors and be dated appropriately to reflect this effort. Once you have made satisfactory efforts that are reflected above, and the REMAC determines this was indeed a good faith effort, a determination of your status will be considered again. If you are determined to be allowed to provide ALS care, you will be placed at the provisional ALS level with the understanding that you are unable to comply with all New York State regional protocols until you are in compliance. Upon stocking of the required medications and reinspection by the State Bureau of EMS, with confirmation of the state inspector, the region and or the New York State Bureau of EMS will return the agency status to the ALS designation. So I gave them multiple choices, multiple options, and I haven't heard back from them after I submitted that letter to them. So if anybody wants more information on the performance of that fire department, I did a drill down, and I have the numbers of EMS calls they responded to, or at least documented. I have the number of ALS responses based on regionally approved ALS providers on those ambulances. I have the number of, I have a whole host of quality data. So if you have a question, I'll be happy to review that with you offline. But I just wanted to share that with you. And then under new business, I'll bring up those two motions.
When did you send that letter?
Last month. I think last month,
Month and a half.
month and a half ago, yeah.
And you still haven't answered it.
So basically, I understand, I can say I was in consultation with both Tom when he got the email and with Dr. Kugler and stuff. And, you know, we're not in the business to try and downgrade anybody, but we need to have, once again, discussions, and we need to have upfront information that you're struggling and having these problems. You know, to find out from the back door 3 months after that you are non-compliant with these medications that may have been needed by a patient. Dr. Kugler, once again, took it upon all the other agencies that have been downgraded or once again been put provisionally to ALS status because of have come forth early and once again notified the council as well as the REMAC that they were struggling with issues of getting these medications and stuff. So what we ask is, please, if you're struggling with medications, if you're struggling with getting the various equipment or medications necessary in order to maintain your status, contact us, send us the information. And once again, don't hide it so that we find out from the state that we've been in non-compliance and stuff with that, put us in that position where we need to downgrade agencies. And that is our position as a council, and as you said, trying to be transparent. That is all we ask of all the agencies out there to maintain that. Any other questions for Dr. Kugler as far as REMAC?
On this thing, Doc, do you want to speak at all about the stroke question that came up?
Sure,
Sorry.
thank you. It's a question that, like everybody, every time someone does a CME or a hospital becomes an advanced level of stroke care, the hospital then says, well, aren't you going to divert patients to us? We've had multiple discussions at the REMAC when the region switched to the SLAMS stroke score with basic science and literature review done by Dr. Ryan, who's the chair of the protocol committee. And then it's been voted on multiple times that the region will not create a policy at this time that will allow for an ambulance to divert past a stroke center to go to a comprehensive stroke center with a patient who meets large vessel stroke criteria, because there is none. There's currently no screening tool that exists either for the pre-hospital arena or in hospital that will diagnose a large vessel occlusion that will benefit, that will allow the extended transport time that would benefit a patient to go beyond a New York State certified stroke center to a comprehensive stroke center. It doesn't exist. In addition, the patients, some patients who meet criteria for the comprehensive transfer, 1 in 10 of those will get the thrombectomy, 9 won't. So what we're doing is we're delaying care. If we're going to take somebody an extra 30 minutes to get to a hospital when we can give them TPA and get them better right away, we're not doing them a service. Every hospital in our region, we are so blessed. Every hospital in our region is a New York State certified stroke center. Our partners up north, they have what we have in Nassau County is what they have in all of upstate New York. So we're very lucky. We will not be bypassing any stroke centers or other stroke centers until the time that literature proves that it's better, or there's a pre-hospital stroke score that can definitively point to a large vessel occlusive stroke. Did you have a question? So did I address that?
Yeah, thank you. Only
Yeah.
because And thank you to the providers that ask these questions and submit them. We want to be open, and that's part of the
But it's-
conversation that'll be
yeah, it's-
moving forward about, more interaction.
It's a conversation that comes up like once a month.
Yeah,
And
should.
I'm happy to keep discussing it because someday somebody may present data to me that will change the conversation.
Yeah, it's one of the nuances of our system that our proximity to the hospitals actually hurts us here. It helps the patient, but it hurts our pride that we're not doing what other regions are doing. We're in a
There's no
different
need
place
to.
than other regions.
Right.
So, thank you.
Anything else for Dr. Kugler on the region? Communications, Karen.
No report.
Disaster planning, Kevin O'Hara.
Yes, I have a question. First of all, we have a tentative meeting set up for September 27th between Nassau PD, this committee, as well as Nassau County OEM. There is a document in draft form that was, at my first meeting with Nassau OEM and with the coordinator Ari, limited area disaster plan that has been drafted but never finalized, never really signed off on. And that was the workings of REMSCO. So I know Dr. Kugler, you brought up about a disaster plan that there is none. I think, we should work together. There should be, REMAC and REMSCO, either we work together or work at formalized for one plan to work on. So that's where we sit right now, but I surely like more people to help, with this. Okay, we surely have the county interest in it. We have the PD's interest, and, I sort of represent a little of the FD, but definitely somebody from maybe REMAC would like to join in on this. And this is something that we really have been long awaited for. And we want to kind of move on. And I know that there are questions from the, your constituents about, is there a plan? When will there be a plan? So.
It was just pointed out, I think somebody was, one of the docs who works at one of the hospitals was doing some, they were doing some credentialing at the hospital, one of those like ABC letters that you get. And the hospital, the credentialing agency asked the hospital, so what's your regional MCI plan? He asked me, I said, I don't know, I don't think we have one. And that sort of then he brought the question to the REMAC body and asked, and then, so it's something that we're going to develop, but right, we shouldn't do it in isolation. That me, this commission, we should do it together.
I'll put you right on the email when we're having this meeting.
And Lisa,
Yeah, put me on that, Jeff.
Yes.
You would put me on that also.
Sure.
Yeah, like I said, we tend not to deal with disasters until disasters actually happen.
right, and then it's too late.
That could be, probably large of part of our problem once again, hopefully being able to coordinate those. We've had some discussions with Kevin and I regarding some potential for developing some disaster plans, as well as once again having some drills to test on a small scale how we will function in those. But hopefully, like I say, we'll be able to get that plan cemented in and be able to get the people and stuff on the committees. If anybody's interested in a committee that you're not on, you're more than welcome to attend. I'll adjust the committees. When I took over for Tommy, we had a few changes in constituency seats, and I filled in the best I could with those I felt would be advantageous. But if you feel that you have a particular committee that you are interested in, and that once again you can assist with developing, I'm more than happy to shift those around as needed for that. Education and training, Ed Walter.
It's not online either.
Okay, just with that, I know you had mentioned it earlier. The state is now once again sending out emails when courses and stuff are being scheduled to try and update all of the various regions. Now that you don't necessarily have to teach within your region, there are other course sponsors out there that are teaching in various areas and taking away from some of the courses and diluting those courses. So we will be sending out the updates as the state sends it to us, or as we find out, it'll be posted up on the website. So please get on there and look at the education for the opportunities for training, CME, and whatever. Legal and Governmental Affairs, Dr. Booten, I don't know if he's on.
Dr. Booth?
Yes, no report at this time.
Thank you, Dr. Booten. Public Education, Frank Chester.
Frank was excused. He has to be excused today.
Okay. All right, we're gonna work on public education. EMS systems, Paul Dimmitt.
Yes, we have two second motions coming from our last systems committee meeting. The first is from the Lawrence Sierra Fire Department to go primary from the hours of 1900 to 0700 Monday through 7 days a week. The second motion is coming from the Wilson Park Fire Department to drop from 3rd due to 6th due 24/7. In addition to that, we also have a letter from the East Williston Fire Department who responds with Williston Park in the village of East Williston to jointly drop down to the 6th position. Okay. That'll come up under new business.
Okay, thank you very much. Membership, Tom Derrick.
As you mentioned, we had a couple of seats open up over the summer. One being the volunteer ambulance seat. We have one letter from the volunteer ambulance council nominating Christopher Nicolas. Who's listening? You should. And of course, we found that to be a valid appointment from the council for approval. In addition, the nurse manager at law position was vacated and received several letters of support and CV for Dana Portapasso. Northwell Health. And resident, very strong CV. We can agree with that.
And we do have one other forthcoming seat, just waiting on a letter and stuff from the Nassau District 12. The letter that was sent was never received. We believe it wound up in Mineola and forwarded to the council. We met with them a few weeks back, and I said we've been making the rounds as they asked us to come down and speak with the different contingencies, and they will be sending us a letter shortly with a replacement for that. I believe her name is Robin Trott from Atlantic Beach Rescue. Will be filling that seat. We're just waiting on the letter from their representatives over there. Hospital Emergency Department, Evelyn Mulvaney was once again the former chairman of that committee. She has resigned, once again being filled by the nurse manager's seat. So we do have an opening for committee chairman for the Hospital Emergency Department. And if anybody knows of anybody that is interested in that, please let me know.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I think when we sent out to all the different hospitals, the position for the nurse manager thing, we said that might be the role that they would fill. So whoever you guys select as the nurse manager at large, maybe you could volunteer them into that position.
Well, we could probably do that.
You're not sure.
I've watched you do that before, and we could probably do that. So once again, those are our committee reports. Once again, I'm going to move on to some of our subcommittee reports that we have undertaken past year. The REMSCO REMAC EMS unification tag, Dr. Newbert and Paul Diver have been chairman of that. So we have not had a meeting, but if there's any updates,
We're waiting for information.
Waiting
from the
for it.
county.
all right, so once again, the county is now, skipped a meeting in July. Hopefully there'll be a meeting to update where we are in that process with that, and then we can look to make recommendations to that committee to update some of the data and the information they need in order to go forward. The RSI committee, Dr. Newbert.
No, no.
Not on. Okay, so once again, that'll be progress and we'll get. The e-bridge communications project, do you have anything else, Dr. Cooper?
Other than the motion that I'm gonna bring up.
As I said, the e-bridge is just once again to move us into more of a real time and to allow for more information to be disseminated. But it will not, once again, usurp medical control. All agencies are to notify on each and every transport, medical control, their destinations, and especially when it comes to ALS, they must, once again, document their transports and their medical decisions and medical procedures with medical control, no exceptions with that. That's the end of our committee reports. We'll move on to unfinished business.
So do I bring up do we bring up the motions from the committees under new business or unfinished?
What, from Rena?
Yeah.
They don't need a vote according to the bylaws.
Oh.
They just need to be discussed. And unless there's an issue, the REMSCO can bring up a committee, I'm sorry, the REMSCO can bring up a motion to have REMAC review it, but there don't have to be a voter on as per the bylaws.
Okay.
REMAC
That's regarding the e-bridge.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it needed
Yeah,
to.
no, the
approved.
question came up once again, and it was
Thank you for
discussed.
clarity.
Then once again, the purview of the REMAC and stuff as far as patient care. If you wish, once again, I will bring it up. The question was, once again, the use of the e-bridge as an accessory to the notifications through medical control and the runs, which, as I stated before, is once again the most effective way of documentation, and it is required by our bylaws and by our policies and procedures. The e-bridge will allow for dissemination of additional information to the various hospitals. And if the council wishes, I will take a vote stuff on that. This is just to move us into a real-time notification process where we have no issues with agencies or hospitals saying they were never notified of transport decisions or the appropriate transport to those facilities.
So Chuck, one other thing, the default selection, which is, there's some selections you can turn on and off when the provider is making the notification. The default selection you cannot turn off is notification of medical control. There's going to be a couple of radio buttons that they can and cannot turn off. But that's one. The other one is also geolocation. So once you select that you have a case, you type a case and you enter the data, the only real choosing you do is after that is the location to which you're going. The geolocation and medical control will always be notified, regardless.
On the question on the policy, does the policy address what ramifications there are if someone makes a regular notification via e-bridge and actually does push medication or perform ALS intervention?
I don't think it got into that granularity. I think that if there's a protocol violation that it would be up to the agency to sort of address, because it may not be caught.
Well, that's why I'm asking.
But the purpose is really just for communication. If the provider is performing a medical control option without medical control, that's practicing medicine, and you can't do that. So hopefully they have a robust ALS quality review that's already ongoing, that agency would catch it. And they would have to actually, that's reportable to the region as well. But when medical control looks at the call, they can always reach out to the crew too. They can always send a message back.
If they don't put it in.
But we can't, the policy doesn't address patient care quality, the policy or protocol quality. The policy addresses communications. So we can't, I don't want to put two things together. So it's just about communication. So if you're failing, it's the same thing as if you were in the back of the ambulance and you gave a medication for a protocol outside the scope of that protocol, because you thought it might be good for the patient without contacting the medical control physician. It's the exact same thing that would happen right now. There's no policy written about it, but it's bad medicine and it's not appropriate. And then any medicine that's pushed, your agency's quality review should pick up. So it's not, we don't have that as a policy. If you'd like to, again, it's a living document. If you think that you want to make sure that every post ALS call is followed with a telephone call to medical control to firm up the treatments, we could do that for now, just to make sure nothing's missed. But that's something we could address it at the REMAC with the rest of the REMAC members. But I want to make sure that we don't put patient care and communications in the same policy.
Yeah, one of the things that we had discussed, and I believe we had discussed this during one of our, is before this actually goes into use, is that all agency managers will be notified in writing about the policy of the use, and also the use of medical control on each and every run, and also to do a virtual meeting with all agency managers about the system with General Dynamics and the dashboard, to introduce it to all agencies before it actually physically goes online.
The General Dynamics folks have already met with the hospitals. Each hospital, with me, the General Dynamics people, and representatives from every health system that's in our county. And so we got that end of it. Now we just have to do the provider end of it. And so we could have at a quarterly meeting, have the general devices people come and put a show and tell on.
Or once again, during a virtual meeting, if there's any questions that can be directed to them,
Absolutely.
they may be able to do that.
Would- Is your plan to have
Good question.
providers individual accounts, or is it one?
So yeah,
agency
so that's
account?
part of the issue is with this. I think it's better to have a provider's an individual account than to give an agency account.
So they'll
Because
be
then the
using their
provider
own
could leave that
devices.
agency and then they could keep using that for whatever reason. We don't want that. If you're a provider, and it's going to start with just the people that are credentialed by us, because those people have already been vetted by their
But would they
agency.
be using their own devices, or would they be?
They can, but everybody has a e-tablet, right? You have to. So that e-tablet just gonna have another bit of software on it called eBridge.
No, what I'm saying is you'll be logging in now,
Right.
putting in your passwords and sending, is that another step that?
It is, but
complicates?
you don't have to log in on scene. You log in when you get the call and you're en route.
Okay.
So you get the computer ready, right? You have to log in. When
No, I understand what you're
you're
saying. It's just,
going to do your PCR,
I'm
right?
looking at,
So for HIPAA reasons.
you're gonna have compliance issues with that level.
I
of-
know when you want to, well, they're not
Especially, I mean,
compliant, but
With
there's no
volunteers, I mean,
excuse.
us, we're using the tablet for 12 hours while we're working. The volunteers coming from home,
But how
Well,
they
there's a
log in
guy
to write the
like-
PCR?
it's not the same. You're just like logging into your email. You'll have
But
your
it-
personal
yeah,
leverage
But
account.
when you log in to the tablet, forgive me, I know we're speaking sort of as an aside, and forgive me for taking up this time, but I just wanted to just clarify. So when you, for HIPAA reasons, you can't use a generic login for
No,
your
your
EPCR.
VCR, right? you just memorize
So-
a lot.
If you using your personal login for your EPCR, why can't you use your personal login for eBridge?
You can, I understand what you're
So
saying. I'm
that's-
just
it's the
wondering
same
if it's gonna
thing.
work.
And that it's this, you could give us whatever, we're gonna just use your mail, that your email address, that's your user ID, and your passcode is something that as the region, when we have assistance, we'll be giving out, and it'll be something simple. That it's not gonna be something that's repeated. It'll be something unique to you and something that we can take away if we need to. We can't allow people access to a HIPAA protected product if they're not eligible to have it. So it's going to be individualized.
Okay, so a question, let's just take it down one notch. And I understand using eBridge, if you're gonna do any type of patient medication, talk medical control, let's just talk a basic notification. Is eBridge gonna take the place of, because eBridge will notify medical control. So-
Control the exact same notification.
So are we saying that the technician just gonna call now medical control coming into such and such hospital with whatever it is, Can they just do that with e-bridge and not call medical control?
I think that's the policy as it's written now,
Okay,
because the notification goes and there's no phone call. It's, you type in, you hit the button for the nature of the case, you put in some demographics and some information and hit send.
no, I agree.
And then because the geolocation is already always on, the hospital will know how far away you are when they get the message, and then they'll get an alert again when you're within a certain, like a geofence of the hospital.
I understand the full parameters, and I think it's very good, but you're not gonna have a technician call medical control and do e-bridge just for a simple
Right, it's gonna
notification.
save time in medical control.
So they
Allow the
understand that
medical
too. There's no-
operators to do the quality and the medical control and the things that they need to do, because it's not fair for them. And this improves a lot of different things.
There's some issues. I mean, not a day goes by where having that human contact is not beneficial. Not a day goes by that we don't reach out to an ambulance to offer guidance or
This
advice.
doesn't replace that.
But if you're not
Doesn't
speaking
make
to,
it better.
if you're not speaking to a human, it might.
That's where they're going. I'm not saying, and we're not gonna eliminate medical control. We'll keep the radio communications and everything up and running until we
Yeah.
know this is a good product. We can always say, you know what, let's put the brakes on this program sucks.
I think the technology is fantastic and I'm excited to see what it looks like, but I think it should augment the system that we have in place, not replace the process per se. I think it deserves further discussion from the provider level. Because realistically, when you have a high acuity patient in the back of the ambulance, nobody's going to be logging onto any tablet. It's going to be tough to get compliance with any sort of policy along those lines. Not as quick as picking up the radio and
Oh,
having a
that's
one
so
sentence
easy.
conversation.
That's so much easier. I agree. It's because the radio's right there. But
There's further discussion, but I'm excited to see the new technology and how it can augment the system that we have.
it's a new tool that can only make it.
Have you just come up with any like forms for like certain like, traumas you want this information?
Right, there's a,
for?
right, we tried to keep it very short and sweet. So there's, the REMAC has asked for trauma, stroke, anything that's gonna need a resource.
So a STEMI form, a stroke
Right,
form.
right. And so on the hospital side, the hospitals can take that, and do whatever they want to do with it, which would be like if it's a STEMI and there's an EKG of a STEMI, they could push that out to their cardiology people, a stroke, they can push it out to their CAT scan and whatever. That's on the hospital side. It's not on us. On the EMS side, the information is very simple. If it's a stroke, it asks when's the last time, well, what are the vital signs,
But it's like a tab form of
Right.
form with the same.
Yeah, and you just
questions.
have to enter some very brief information, and it's really quite simple. And for medical control, there's a button that says medical control, hit send, and then you can actually just communicate with medical control. You could do it by voice, you could do it by video and voice.
Mhm.
However, the provider and medical control choose to have that conversation.
The video ramifications for RMA, AMA is very interesting.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great. Because if you can see the patient, and, yeah, it's make you actually convince the patient.
Any other questions? Unfinished. Any other questions on this? Well, anything else on the unfinished business? Yep, go ahead.
Mr. Mackey, you and I spoke at the last fire commission meeting in regard to the letter that was sent to our fire company. The letter has been drafted. Spoke to you about that, and it's in our attorney's office right now, waiting for him to do whatever the attorneys do with them. As soon as I get that letter back from him, I will get those signatures that are required, and I will get the letter back to you as soon as I can. I'm just waiting on an attorney. We're sitting on it. We're not trying to sit on it.
No.
We're trying to get it done as fast as we can. And as soon as I get it back,
Like I
actually, I
said,
had a phone call into him
we are-
before I got here, where the letter is, and as soon as I get it, get whatever signatures. that we need.
And as I said to you at the fire commission, and the other meetings and stuff that we've had, our goal right now is to try and utilize the human resources that we currently have. And the duplication of services and the multiple PSAPs that are out there and the increased amount of calls and everything, we're trying to, once again, minimize the duplication to the best of our ability to free up agencies and personnel and to try and come up with some sort of template that we can put the right ambulance with the right personnel at the right time at the right patient's house. And that is the goal of this council, as we sit at the meetings with the county and those that sit at the table along with us. Our goal, as far as the council is concerned, is the end product. And the end product is the patient-centric resident that's paying for the services to make sure that we're getting an ambulance, the appropriate crew, the appropriate address, the appropriate time, without duplicating the services, which is taking away from somebody else that needs that service at that time. So that's all, we're looking for. And as I said, just as long as everybody's on the same page, we will work with any agency to be able to manage that. And if, like I say, if agencies are having issues with response, we'd like to know it. We would rather be proactive than reactive. It's like we had with some of the other investigations. Let us know, let us see what solutions, let's think outside the box, let's try and get agencies on board, as I said at the beginning of this meeting. We're all in this together. There is no agency out here that's going to take over this operation and do 100% of it without, once again, the input from all the various components that are currently in our system, as well as the program agency that we hope to build. That's the only way we're going to be able to survive this current climate. The calls continue to increase. The amount of residents continue to increase. The amount of providers that are available continues to decrease. We need to, once again, look at ways to manage this and to fill those spots that are vacant now, especially with our paid cores and stuff effectively. Anything else on unfinished business? New business. What do you want to do with the copier?
The monies and bills you had.
Yes, I need a motion to pay the bills. And I guess comment on the copier.
Okay. So we have a motion to once again pay the bill schedule for the past 2 months to the various entities that have provided service to us. We have a motion. We have a second. Second O'Hara. Any questions? All in favor? All opposed? So ordered. On the copier.
The contract is through a corporation that's defunct now, right?
Correct.
That is correct.
So what could they do? Sue a defunct
You
corporation?
Yeah,
should
that's
charge
what-
them for the electricity.
Well, that's what I said to him. I said, I just have somebody come pick it
The
up. 'cause I'm
backdrop,
putting
the
it outside.
backdrop to this.
Tell them
was,
you don't know
once
where they
again,
are.
Send
They're
them
gone.
a bill for the electricity.
The backdrop to this, the reason why we've kept it this long was we weren't sure where we were going, how this was going to impact the council. And we had a place to put it over at medical control. As you know, the county copiers take an abuse and it was already contracted out. We had the copier available. And Tommy elected to just let it go and see where, in case we needed it across the room or across the aisle, at the room that the hospital gave us. It was available to medical control, it was available from the academy as needed. So we'll just let it go. We'll see what they say. And,
We don't need it to be expensive.
We have a copy of the contract and exactly who it was signed off by, as far as it definitely is part of program, Nassau REMSCO program.
I believe it was. I don't know where that might be.
I go
I
on
will
any-
take a look at my, I believe it was signed by John Hassett.
But just because it was signed by John Hassett doesn't mean that it was signed off by Nassau REMSCO, because remember, 100% of their program agency went to salaries. And I think the council was actually paying for that copier. And I'm just concerned that that contract actually was signed off by him.
I will see if we can look into that. I will check the documents.
I think if that wasn't the case, it would have been terminated a long time ago. Tommy would have gotten out of that in a
Yeah,
heartbeat.
Right,
And I mean, I don't think it, I mean, I don't know, going through, trying to break the contract with legal costs, where, you know.
well, so the way the invoice reads, the way the monthly invoice reads, it was changed. It used to say, it says Nassau Regional EMS Council, attention Charles Mackey, PO Box 8, East Meadow, New York. Doesn't say,
But the original contract.
yeah, but I don't know what the original
But I
contract is.
can,
We
I
don't
can
have.
tell you why that was, because we were behind 4 or 5, because everything was going to Mineola and nothing was being delivered to the medical center, and it was 3 or 4 months when I found out that we even had a copy,
Turn up the lights.
and the invoices started to show up.
But I believe that,
And change the
They
address.
I
had.
believe that
maybe
falls
about
under the costs,
in
not.
the hospital, didn't they?
I could be wrong again, I apologize.
No, you can say, I.
Well, I'm waiting for them to call me back, because I already told them that we don't need the copy machine, and that it was another organization. And basically, I told them I'm cleaning up,
Nothing they did was.
so they can have their copy machine back. I have not paid the bill. So we'll wait to see what they say. I was a lawyer in a previous life, so.
All right, so move on to systems.
Nice away, that's right. I was waiting for Barry.
Systems.
I left the door open for Barry.
The first motion is from, the second motion already coming from systems, for Lawrence here as fire department for primary. They presented all the required paperwork, including documentation, of, answering, all the calls they've received. And also that they are hiring, paid ALS providers, and BLS providers for 24/7 coverage. So, it does come forward as a second motion to the council.
Okay, we have a second motion from the systems committee to elevate Lawrence Cedarhurst Rescue to the primary position 24/7. Second,
Second motion.
okay. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Forward.
And then the second one is the second motion from the village of East Williston Fire Department, which covers East Williston, Albertson, and I'm sorry, from the Wilson Park Fire Department, which covers East Williston, Albertson, and the village of Williston Park, to move from the 3rd position to the 6th position, along with East Williston, who is a BLS first response agency, to also move from the 3rd position to the 6th position in the village of East Williston.
Okay, so we have a joint motion, once again, from the systems committee, coming seconded, to drop Wilson Park as well as East Williston from the 3rd position in the matrix down to the 6th position, and backfill agencies in to fill those voids. On the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Council membership, I'm still here. We had membership, Tom had mentioned it earlier, 2 being Christie Metropolis for the volunteer ambulance corps seats from Glen Cove EMS, and his alternate being Andrew Carpenter from Mineola Volunteer Ambulance Corps. All paperwork was filed and CVs were received. And on the question, this is to fill the Mark Tomlin seat that once again, his resignation was received.
Just it should be noted, this is the first time all of the VACs in the region have coordinated and submitted as requested a singular.
Yeah, we sent out a request for them to get together and to.
It's a good thing and can happen. So thank you to those guys.
So, membership, once again, to appoint Christie Metropolis to the constituency of the volunteer ambulance force. Motion. Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And also to the nurse manager's seat, Dana. Dana Cordopasso. Northwell, once again, all CVs and the letter was received from Northwell to fill that seat, being the resignation of
I'm just gonna say your pronunciation and
Yeah.
Murphy's pronunciation were not even close together.
yeah. But anyway, all right, so motion,
Okay.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so ordered. Just a quick note, once again, as far as the bylaws show, there are no representatives scheduled for council seats to come up in 2022. The next council seats expiration is December 31st of 2023. So for those who put out a list by June, I believe we need to have letters of support and CVs from those seats that will be listed from the constituencies to fill those seats for the subsequent term. But I'll defer to Paul as past chairman, the way I'm reading it. The yearly meeting is November. So I believe today, the other question is, and I don't know that we can answer that. With the shifting last year of me going from treasurer to chairman, and has now fulfilled her second year as vice chairman. I don't know what her intentions are going forward to remain, especially with the change from the health department status. I did not get a chance to reach out to her. I was going to reach out to her today. We need to make nominations and stuff for next year. And Tom is not here as well. I guess he had to leave. I will reach out to Ann this week and I will send a email and a letter to the membership committee as far as the intentions of the executive board and how we can fulfill that. I would like to, if the council wishes to take and complete my second year on the chairmanship here at the council, but we may have to do some more shifting in order to fill the executive seats on the council. As soon as I get that information and stuff, I will send it out to the council members with the intentions and stuff with that, and we can have a nomination prior to the November meeting for those positions to fulfill it for the year 2023. Go to the council.
It's the anniversary of 9/11 is coming up, so I hope everybody is okay.
Thank you very much.
You're all, anybody that's affected is, right, we're all praying for everybody and your family and your friends and our colleagues. So that's just from myself and from REMAC. We wish everybody peace.
Anybody else with anything with the council? Once again, thank you all for coming. I know it's a long meeting, a lot of information. Usually when we miss that meeting in July, it usually is a very busy time of the year. All right, so next scheduled REMSCO council meeting will be Wednesday, November 2nd, 2 o'clock here at the Public Safety Center in Westbury. We more than likely will have a virtual link via Zoom for those unable. We'll wait for the state to make a determination. But it also helps us to be able to get the minute meetings out to the general public, to all of our constituents out there, as well as providers of what's actually going on. As I said, our goal is to be as transparent as possible and to try and get everything up and running effectively.
Just want to announce the date change for the next month's REMAC. Please remember, it's not the first Wednesday, it's the second Wednesday, October 12th. Observance of So.
With that, once again, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Tom? All in favor? Okay, so ordered. Have a great day. Have a good week. See you.